video, I'm going to be giving a prediction list as to what cars I personally think we'll get for the 2021 summer update that's releasing later this summer according to Rockstar. And if you didn't know already, this new update is centered around car culture, as Rockstar stated in their newswire. So obviously it's going to be a big one for the car community in GTA Online. So far at the time I'm recording this, we only have one confirmed new car, which is a new Karin sports car inspired by the 6th generation Toyota Celica. And we currently do not have a confirmed release date, but the most likely scenario is either July or August based on the 3 mini updates Rockstar promised leading up to the main big one. So I think the most comparable update for this one will be the summer update we had last year. I personally had high hopes for the Gallo Perico Heist update in terms of drip feed car content as well, because Rockstar said it was going to be the quote-unquote biggest update ever for GTA Online. But honestly, I think most of the community agrees it was pretty disappointing with really only 2 or 3 vehicles we truly wanted. In terms of the heist content and all that, it was pretty great, but in terms of the car content, it was really lackluster for the biggest update ever. Now, for the summer update last year, we had tons of new exciting cars, and of course the return of Benny's customization, which was something the community really wanted. And I think for this 2021 summer update, we can expect something similar, but with even more content because of the robbery missions and stolen vehicle hot lists Rockstar talked about in the newswire. So with the Los Santos summer special update last year, we received a total of 1 supercar, 2 open wheel cars, 2 sports cars, 2 muscle cars, 2 sports classics, 1 SUV, 1 off-road class vehicle, 1 compact car, 1 van, and 1 sedan, totaling 15 vehicles. So judging by Rockstar's vehicle release patterns, we can roughly expect about 1 or 2 supercars, possibly 2 or more open wheel cars, 3 to 4 sports cars, 2 or 3 muscle cars, 1 or 2 sports classics cars, 1 or 2 SUVs, 1 motorcycle, 2 to 3 off-road class vehicles, and 1 compact car. Now obviously this is just speculation. Again, I did state this was a prediction video. This is just us trying to think about what Rockstar might give us based on what the community has been wanting for a while. So the way I'm going to be structuring this list is based on the vehicle class patterns I just mentioned. So starting off with the supercar class, I personally believe we will get a new exotic hypercar such as a new overflawed vehicle, which is mainly inspired by Koenigsegg. The newest Koenigsegg's of course are the Jesko, the Jesko Absolute, and the Gemera. So I think either a Gemera or a Jesko could be a very likely addition to the game. Now as for the second supercar, I personally believe that a new True Fade vehicle based on the Bugatti Bolide, or they might even go back a bit and do the Bugatti EB110. Those are 2 very likely cars we can expect to see. The Bugatti Bolide is currently the craziest Bugatti in existence, and the Bugatti EB110 is sort of what kind of started it all before the Veyron. And since Rockstar loves to add a ton of True Fade vehicles in this game, I think it's a very high possibility. Also, a new Ocelot vehicle inspired by the new Lotus Evija, which is an all-electric hypercar with almost 2,000 horsepower, I think is a very high possibility as well, since Rockstar likes adding quick electric vehicles from time to time. Now of course there are many other amazing newer supercars as well we can have here as honorable mentions, such as the SSC Tuatara, McLaren Speedtail, and the Lamborghini Sian that could also be very likely, but I'm personally leaning more towards the Koenigsegg and the Bugatti or that Lotus as well. But again, we never really know with Rockstar, it's usually a surprise, so I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I definitely think we're going to get at least 1 new supercar in the next update. Moving on to the open wheels class, so with the Casino Heist update, we received our first 2 open wheel cars which were based on F1 cars from the 80s and 90s. Now with the summer update, we received an Indy car and an F1 car based on real ones from around 2010 and 11. So it seems Rockstar is slowly moving to newer open wheel cars, which makes sense as the newer ones are faster, which means you're gonna buy them because it's the new fastest open wheel car. So I think it's very likely that Rockstar can add in a newer F1 car from 2021, like the Ferrari F1 car, or the Aston Martin F1 car, since we really haven't gotten any Grotti or Ducati open wheel cars yet. And lastly, for the open wheel cars, I believe a Formula E car is also very possible, which is basically an electric Formula 1 car. These are very fast cars, not as fast as the normal F1 cars, but still very quick and unique in their own ways. Moving on to the sports car class, this one is a little difficult as the sports class is so vast with many different types of possible cars they can add, but judging by the Toyota Celica inspired car they teased in the newswire, I think we're going to get more than one 90s JDM car from this update. And out of all the JDM cars out there that we haven't gotten GTA Online yet, I think a new car inspired by the Mazda RX-7 FD is a very high possibility. Out of all the cars they can add for the update, I think the RX-7 has to be in this update, and it should be in this update. Now, I know we have the Banshee 900R. Some people can argue that has some Fast and Furious liveries inspired by the RX-7s, but the 900R is still mainly a Dodge Viper. But who knows, with Rockstar, they could throw a curveball and give us an RX-8 instead, which is not very desirable at all. But again, it's Rockstar. Maybe they'll combine the RX-7 and the RX-8 and give us a Frankenstein, or they'll satisfy the community and give us the RX-7 FD we've always wanted. Now, the second car I want to discuss is a new Dinka vehicle. I believe a new one inspired by the first generation Acura/Honda NSX is also very likely. Almost every car guy loves the NSX, and I think it's a high possibility for Rockstar to add. Now, the third vehicle I want to discuss is a new Annis vehicle inspired by the Nissan 350Z or the 370Z. The community has been wanting the clean version of the ZR380 for a while, and I think this would be a great time for them to add it. And some honorable mentions here, I think some cars inspired by the Nissan Silvia S14, Evo 8, Acura Integra, Honda S2000, and BMW E46 M3 are all very likely as well for this update. Next up, we're going to look at some possible new sports car possibilities as well. So starting off, I believe a new Dinka vehicle inspired by the 2020 Toyota Supra, or it could be an Uber Mach as well. I hope some of you understand that joke, but you know how Rockstar is, they could possibly do that as well. And I think it's a very high possibility for them to add in that car in the game. Now, I know some of you are going to point out the ETR1, which has headlights similar to the 2020 Toyota Supra and the FT1 concept car, but I think a separate car based mainly on the Supra could be very likely as well for this update. Since we already have a car based on the Mark IV Supra in game, I think it makes sense that they'll give us a new variant. Alright, now moving on to the muscle car class, I think it's about time we get a new Class A muscle car inspired by the 6th generation Camaro. Almost everyone in the GTA car community has been wanting a modern Camaro for a very long time, and I think this will make a lot of sense as we've gotten the modern Challenger, which is the Hellfire, and the modern Mustang, which is the Dominator GTX. We're just missing that new Camaro to finish off the 3 well-known American muscle cars. Now, they could place it in the sports car class, but judging as they put the GTX and the Hellfire in muscle, I'm pretty sure they'll throw it in the muscle car class. As for the second muscle car, I think a new Vapid vehicle inspired by the Fox Body Mustang could be a very high possibility as well. It's a car the community has been wanting for a while, and it's pretty much already in GTA as the abandoned car outside the Los Santos Customs by the airport. And of course, this car was in GTA 4 called the Vapid Uranus, so it could make a return as well. And lastly, for the muscle cars, a new Bravado vehicle inspired by the Charger Hellcat wide-body could be very likely. Maybe this one could be a Benny's car where you take the Buffalo S and convert it to a wide-body Hellcat. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Again, I'm not sure if they'd put this in the muscle or sports class, but I think the muscle class would make it a lot more usable and fun to mess around with. Moving on to the sports classics class, with the Ford vs Ferrari movie that came out a couple years ago, I think the Ford GT40 could be a very high possibility as well, since we already have the FMJ in GTA, which is primarily based on the 2017 Ford GT, and the Bullet, which is mainly inspired by the 2005 Ford GT. So we're really just missing the 60s GT, which they could possibly call the Bullet Classic or something along those lines. This is the #1 car I've personally been wanting them to add for many years, and I really hope we receive it in the next update. And lastly, for the Sports Classics class, I believe a new Pfister Sports Classics car inspired by either the Porsche 944 or the Porsche 356 Speedster could be a high possibility as well, and an awesome addition to the Sports Classics class in my opinion. Moving on to the SUVs class, I think a newer performance SUV is very likely, as we have gotten the Rebel GTS, Novak, and Tauros in the past updates, so these are pretty much the three top SUVs currently in the class for GTA Performance, so I believe Rockstar might want to keep that theme going and give us another performance SUV, and I believe a new Bravado or Canis vehicle inspired by the Jeep Trackhawk or the newer Dodge Durango Hellcat could be a high possibility and an awesome vehicle for the class. And lastly, for the SUVs class, I think a new Pfister vehicle inspired by the Porsche Cayenne Coupe could be a possible addition as well. Moving on to the motorcycles class, we have gotten two three-wheeled motorcycles in the game, which was the Rampant Rocket and the Strider. I'm not sure why Rockstar keeps adding three-wheeled motorcycles that not too many people really want in game. But if I had to take a wild guess, I wouldn't doubt them adding a newer one inspired by the Polaris Slingshot. Now I know we have the BF Raptor in game, which is mainly based on the T-Rex from real life, and that one is in the sports class, but honestly, I'm not really too sure when it comes to three-wheeled motorcycles. Now when it comes to normal motorcycles, I think if they decide to add one, I think a newer Nagasaki motorcycle inspired by the Kawasaki Ninja H2 would be an incredible addition to the game. Moving on to the off-roads class, I think a new Mammoth vehicle inspired by the Hummer EV is very likely to be added in the game, and I honestly wouldn't doubt if they mix it up a bit with the Cybertruck as well, since they're both American branded electric off-road vehicles. And lastly, for the off-roads class, I believe a new Bravado vehicle inspired by the Ram TRX is a very high possibility for the off-roads class. We currently have the Car 4x4 in game, which is mainly based on the Raptor, and I think adding in its competitor, which is the TRX, would be a very awesome addition to the off-roads class. And lastly, we have the compacts car class, so I strongly believe that for this one, they will most likely give us a very quirky compact car inspired by the POP50 or the BMW Isetta. Rockstar is a little strange when it comes to compact cars such as the Panto or the Asbo, and I believe the P50 or the Isetta are very likely candidates if they do decide to give us a new compact class vehicle. And lastly, for the compacts car class, a new Annis vehicle inspired by some variant of the Mazda Miata would be an awesome addition as well. The Miata is a car that many people in the community have wanted in GTA since it released, and I believe it's a very high possibility with this update as well. Anyways guys, hope you enjoyed the video and my vehicle predictions as to what cars Rockstar might release in the 2021 summer update. Now obviously these are just predictions, and I could be completely wrong, but I think we've covered pretty much most of what the community's been expecting for an update focused on car culture, as Rockstar stated. Let me know down below in the comments what vehicles you personally think Rockstar will most likely release in the update later this summer. Maybe a vehicle I didn't cover, and then after the update comes out, maybe you're right. You can come back to the comments section for plenty of bragging rights. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.